Hello and assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to start off with a new chapter, human resource management. That is the last chapter of people and organization. So without further ado, let's begin. The first topic, the first concept in this chapter is human resource management itself. Like, what is human resource management? What is its basic functions, and what are the basic responsibilities, etc. So human resource management is a major function of most business organizations. Some might say finance is one of the most major functions. There's marketing as well, but in most business organization, human resource management is at the core of business organization because of the it is linked to the labor, more linked to the labor. There's a greater link to labor about motivation, and also it is a major function of most business organizations. It is concerned with supporting all other functions of a business organization through effective activities, supporting all other functions of business organization. So for example, marketing, finance, operations, all these the functions, human resource management is basically supporting all of them to achieve the objectives of the business through activities such as all these are the functions of human resource management. So the basic function of human resource management, you can say, is recruitment and selection of appropriate employees. Recruitment and selection is one of the most important functions of human resource management as well, because you have to recruit the right number of people at the right time. You have to prepare proper job descriptions, proper person specifications. These are basically documents which tell you about what does a job require and what sort of person is the employer looking for. So you need to draft these documents properly. You need to carry out proper tests. You need to be sure that the employees that you are recruiting, they are going to serve the business well. So you need to be a better organizer. You need to so overall, this process is not too easy as it may sound. So recruitment and selection of appropriate employees, that is one of the most major functions of human resource management as well. Then there's training and development of staff. This too is also one of the most is also a major function, because it's not too easy to training and development of staff. You need to make sure which sort of training you need to provide out on in on the job training or off the job training. You need to be sure, use the perfect method, and try to make the training as much beneficial as possible to motivate your employees as well, and try to reduce the cost as well. Workforce planning for the future. What is workforce planning? We're going to talk about that in today's video lecture as well, so just hold on to that. Redundancy of unnecessary employees. We need to make employees redundant in case they are not required, in case they are employees who you have warned several times but they are still not being, you know, that is basically dismissal of ineffective or disruptive employees, those who are causing some harm or like being a bad influence. You need to dismiss them. But redundancy is basically those employees whose, it's not like you don't need the employee anymore, it's just like the job that the employee were performing, that job is no longer that job is no longer existing in the business. Suppose if someone was being part of a production process, but that production process is now fully automated, so that person is no longer required. They only need the technical experts, not normal laborers, so that person is made redundant. We're going to talk more about redundancy and dismissal as well, but far later on in the chapter. Then they also one of their functions also includes advice and support on issues such as work-life balance, diversity, and discrimination. You need to provide advice on such issues like work-life balance. You need to provide your employees with a balanced life, so that their work is balanced. You don't have overstress, and their life they can give time to their own personal life as well, their families and themselves as well, look after their own health as well. You also have to support them on issues such as diversity and discrimination. You can't discriminate between employees, and you need to have a diverse employee labor force. You also have to negotiate with trade unions on issues. And finally, there's policies on motivation and skill development. Skill development can be related to training, but motivation, there's a lot of different ways of motivation we already discussed. There's a whole chapter for motivation which we have covered before this chapter. So all that is handled by human resource management. So if we are to say what are the most important functions of human resource management, Well, it's motivation, workforce planning, and recruitment and selection. In my opinion, these are the three most, or you can say this is also one of the most important functions. It's not like others are not important, others are also as important as this are, but like these are the four most important functions that a human resource management should look after more and be careful with all these decisions which they make. Then one of the major issues that the challenges that comes to human resource management is the labor turnover. It is specifically responsible for achieving business success with issues such as reduction of the labor turnover. So labor turnover is increasing a lot day by day because employees are not satisfied with their job, they leave the business themselves. So because of that, you need to hire new employees, you need to train them, and you have to motivate them, and start from a training takes time. And there's a lot of issues with labor turnover, there's lots of problems, so we're going to talk about them in detail as well. Today is just an introduction lecture. So that's why policies on motivation is one of the most important function. So if your employees are motivated, they won't leave the business. You need to train your staff so that they have the proper skills, they achieve their self actualization needs. You need to plan your workforce accordingly. You need to recruit such staff that you know that okay, they won't leave the business, they are proper one, they will be motivated. You don't need to try to recruit appropriate staff. So yeah, we want to look about each of them in detail through the whole chapter content covering. So let's move on to workforce planning for today. We've already talked about the introductory resource, about the whole chapter, the whole idea behind this chapter, what we're going to talk about in the whole course. Now, workforce planning. Workforce planning is basically the analysis and forecasting of the numbers of workers and the skills of those workers that are required by an organization to achieve its goals. So basically, you have to analyze and forecast the number of workers, and not just the number of workers but also the skills of those workers. Numbers and skills. What do we need to know? We need to know the numbers as well as the skills of those employees. You need to know the right number of people that you need as well as the right skills of those particular people in order to achieve your overall objectives. Achieve its objectives. Objective achieving is your main purpose for the workforce planning. This is a basic definition that you can get for a 2-mark question. So workforce planning is considered to be a necessary requirement for successful business performance. However, it is not the only requirement for success, and thus on its own does not ensure successful business performance. So basically, we're going to talk about what is the importance of workforce planning, but before talking about the importance, we need to know that no matter how much important it is for a business to have workforce planning, even if you have the best workforce planning, it is not a guaranteed success that your business will be successful. There are other requirements as well for business success. That this is an evaluation point that you can give when you are talking about businesses. When you're talking about the importance of workforce planning. Yes, it is one of the most important parts of business performance in order to boost business performance, but it's not just the only thing. They only need other things as well. Like other factors may include the effectiveness of research and development team. If your research and development team is not good, then there's no point in good workforce planning. Your effectiveness of cash flow forecasting or break-even analysis, or even the effectiveness of marketing department or other departments should also need to cooperate on the success of the business, not just one department. So workforce planning, no matter how powerful it may be, it is not the only factor that guarantees the success of the business. So what are the importance of workforce planning? When we have said that okay, it is very important, but why is it so important? What's the basic importance? So let's look at all these points. It basically determines what mix of experience, knowledge and skills is required, and sequences a step to get the right number of right people in the right place at the right time. Wow, there's so many rights. But yeah, that's the whole idea behind it, that when you have a proper workforce planning, you know that what type of people do you need, what experience do they require, and what knowledge should they have for a particular business task. Why do we do that? We need the right number of people right number of right people. Right number means the number of people should be right. Right people means their skills should be right. Right place means at the correct place, at the correct work, and at the right time, not too late or not before. Alright, so that's the whole idea behind the importance. A business will identify the existing skills and qualifications of its existing workforce, which gives a regular view if how appropriate the workforce is. Of, sorry, it's a little mistake over here. Yeah. A business will identify the existing skills and qualifications of its existing workforce, which gives a regular review of how appropriate the workforce is. So basically, that's why it's important. When you are constantly planning your workflows, you get an opportunity to identify the skills, your qualifications of the existing workforce, to constantly have a good checkup, a regular checkup of your employees, if their skills are right or not, if you need to train them more, or if you need, or if there are some gaps in workforce that you need to fill, that you might need to, there might be some vacancies that you need to fill, or you might need some other skills that just can't be trained, so you might need to hire those employees. So it identifies the existing skills and qualifications, and might identify some gaps as well. Factors such as an aging population, technological skill change, competition, changing consumer demands and expectations suggest the need for relevant, agile, and adaptable workforce. All these factors, they suggest that okay, you can't just have one constant workforce. You need to adapt to the environment. You need to be flexible. So all these factors that suggest that okay, you always constantly need to check up on the workforce. You need to see if they have the right skills and the right number of people. Alright. A business will analyze and anticipate the future needs of the organization for particular skilled workers and identify gaps in skills of the existing workforce. So as I said, that if you identify the gaps, you might able to train those some employees or hire new ones, if you can afford it, of course. Whichever is more cost effective and beneficial for the business, you will go with that option. Effective workforce planning ensures that decisions are made on staffing, decisions that are linked to an organization's mission, strategy, budgetary resources, and a set of defined workforce competencies. Furthermore, if a business does not have a sound workforce planning system, it will be reactive and suffer surprises. It won't be equipped to achieve performance targets and will likely drift from its goal. So if you don't have proper workforce planning, you won't be able to react to your competition, you won't be able to react to certain changes in the business environment, and hence you will suffer surprises. You'll be surprised, you won't be able to catch up to your competition, and in worst cases you might even lose sales and start being going into, heading towards failure. So that should be avoided. You won't be able to equip to achieve performance targets, so you won't be able to achieve your organization goal. Suppose your goal is to get 20% market share in 1 year, but but in half year there's a certain technological change and your employees can't control that. You don't have the technology, or even if you do have the technology, your employees don't know how to operate that particular technology, so you won't be able to keep that performance targets. Your sales might decrease and you won't be able to reach your target, your main objective of getting 20% market share in 1 year. So that could be an issue. So basic idea behind this is that you won't be able to achieve your objective if you don't have a solid workforce planning. You won't be able to react to the sudden changes. So the basic, we need we need effective workforce planning to be able to adapt to the sudden changes in the environment, to be flexible. That's the whole need. And there are a lot of benefits that we have discussed over here, that why is it so important to have an effective workforce planning. So that's all for today. Sorry, it was not too much of good as we expected, but there were some issues today. So thanks for watching anyways, and Allah Hafiz.